Born and raised in Guamashi, KZN, he started performing for his family at the tender age of 8 years old, performing other people's songs. Today, at 27, he's ready to perform his own songs for us. My name is Mncedisi. I am all the way in KZN, KwaZulu-Natal, and I had to hunt this man down for an exclusive interview with Harrison Mncedisi on his brand new EP, A Stranger's Love. Hi, Chomi.
Chomi, hi.
How are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm doing okay. It's just a bit hot.
It is. I'm calling him, right?
No, I could call you, but I think it's also because of the people.
No, man, KZN people are really nice.
Yeah?
KZN people are really nice.
No, I mean the hotness. Ne? Catch my drift. Okay, we're not gonna do that. Thank you so much for sitting down with me.
Thank you for coming. I think, first of all, great opening link. Tina, we met in prison, Search and 3, remember that?
We did, yes we did.
And to see you doing a link like that for an interview with me, full circle moment. Thank you.
Well, I appreciate it. And
congratulations on YFM.
Oh my gosh, it's not about me. I'm not gonna let you do that. This is the thing. They do that. I'm not gonna let you do this. I'm here to talk about A Stranger's Love.
Yeah.
Congratulations. Brand new project. How are you feeling?
Friend, I'll be honest with you. I'm happy. I think I am 50% happy and 50% scared.
Why are you scared?
Scared because I've just given birth to a child, and like any parent, you don't really know how the world is going to receive the child, because you don't know how the child is going to perform in the world. So ngilapho like ngine apprehension, pensive.
Speaking about people not knowing how your child's going to perform, obviously, I mean, now you know people have expectations for the child, and you know how the child's going to do. You released the title track, Stranger's Love, back in 2020, but you're only giving us the EP in 2022. How long have you been sitting on this? And I think everyone wants to know, because everyone has been hounding you for this EP. How long have you been sitting on it?
I mean, listen, people have been, and people have been saying, Harrison, release. But it's never easy to just release, because it's not just about releasing, you know. I've been sitting on this for exactly 12 months, a year. Just the body of work is ihlangene, but there's a song in the album that I've been sitting on for 8 years.
Funny, because I was going to ask you about the writing process now. You sort of preempted me. I was going to ask you about the writing process, because you've been sitting on it for 12 months, which means you've been writing this whole time. But now I want to know, what is that song that you wrote first 8 years ago? Also, I want to know what was going on in your life.
At that point, okay, so I think the song that I wrote 8 years ago in the EP was A New Day, right? I wrote that song 8 years ago. I was just thinking about a new day, and I was thinking about new possibilities. I think that was when I had realized that I could write songs, right? And just, you know, waking up and realizing that I have a song in me that I want to write felt like a completely new day. And yeah, that's how the song came
I
out.
want to go deeper. 8 years ago, when you started writing, obviously you had gone through stuff in your life. Do you feel like the things you had experienced back then, 8 years ago, affected how you wrote A New Day? And do you think those experiences carried over to when you were writing 8 years later, 12 months?
Definitely. Definitely. So most of my songs, in fact, most of my songs are from the past, and they're from the past. Let's take it 8 years back, and let's come to 2017, 18, 19, 20, 21. And ukwabhala kwawo really was a hard process, because I'm going through all of these things, but I have to keep mental notes, because I understand that I'm a creative, and I know that at one day I'm going to have to sit down and I'm going to have to tell the story, not necessarily in a story form, but through a song.
Question. What?
Of course, question.
Yeah. What are these things that you're going through? Because I'm thinking now, you call the EP A Stranger's Love, which means there's a weird relationship there with a stranger and love. So what are these things that you're going through?
Different things in different songs. Different things in different songs, really. I don't know where to start. Where do I start? Where do you want me to start? Let's start at the beginning. There's a song called Complicated. Complicated is Complicated is recent. It's 2019, 2021, right? I'm a fully grown adult. I'm experiencing love, but I'm realizing that, gee whiz, love can get really complicated really fast if you don't work on what comes before you being an adult, right? So if you don't work on your teenage experiences, if you don't work on your childhood experiences, they begin to show up when you're an adult. And that complicates.
Pause. You tweeted once.
Pause!
You tweeted once. Someone tweeted something about my, I think it's the wedding show on the other channel. And someone tweeted a picture of this guy's father.
Yes.
And then you tweeted, my dad wouldn't even hug me, esapila, let alone kiss me on television. So when you talk about things that happened in your teenage years or things that happened in your childhood, do you think that the concept of being loved by a stranger, because is your father a stranger to you, would you say?
No, actually, my dad was not a stranger. My dad is no more, first of all. And he's not a stranger. Oh, my dad was, you know that you have to belong somewhere, right? My dad was my dad was the person I belonged to, right? And I always knew, when I think in my head, I'm like, oh, my dad and I have a relationship, and whatever the dynamics of our relationship was, I knew Uguti, I belonged to him. And I woke up one day and he was gone.
How did that change how you loved? How did that change your perception of belonging?
It felt... perception of belonging and perception of love. You know, when somebody loves you, you feel like you belong to that person. It hurt so much that I didn't want anybody to love me. I didn't want to love anyone.
Did you not? Because, I mean, you also tweeted a lot of times about how you struggled to find love and you felt like love couldn't find you.
That's exactly it. Come from? It came from a place of saying, I don't want to hurt like that ever again. I don't want to love somebody that much ever again. And so I don't want to belong to you because I don't want to love you that much. I don't want to hurt like I did when I woke up and my belonging was gone.
Do you feel like you've healed from that?
Yes, definitely I have. I mean, there's music out about the story. You know, that's where we are. Yeah. I think the music tells a story. Uguti, my heart is empty because the music is out.
I actually like that quote. I'm going to get to it a bit later. But I want us to talk about the music. 6 tracks.
Yes.
Complicated, New Day, Stranger's Love, Ndana Mundu, Typical Girl. All right. I listened to it. Thank you so much. I had the privilege of
Thank you for listening.
And I hear a story there, but I want to ask you, Adele said this in an interview, and she actually stopped Spotify from using the shuffle button on her album. Do you share the same sentiments?
I do.
Is there a story there? Talk to me about the story.
I absolutely do. When my team and I were writing the music, right? Because remember, I'm a storyteller and I consider myself as a storyteller, but you have to sit down with musicians and you have to give musicians the space and engineers and everybody else that's a part of your music team to say it would make sense in this particular way. So after I had told the story, then Joseph Dube, who is the mastermind behind my work.
I think he's really talented.
He really is, isn't he?
Yeah.
Isn't he?
Brilliant.
He said to me, this is how we're telling the story. And I said, but this is not how the story unfolds. And he said, musically, this is how the story makes sense. I sat down with what he had said and I understood. If you're going to be great, it takes a village. It takes a village. And so the way that the story is told, I mean, I told the raw story, but somebody that had been listening to it from a musical point of view then said, this is how the story must be told. And because I only work with, like, if I work with you, I honor your gift and I honor your opinion. And I felt my story is still there. The points are still there. It's just the ordering.
Do you feel like you said everything that you needed to say? Because, I mean, I know musicians are very sensitive about their things. So obviously you want to put out a good product. And if someone says to you, no, this sounds better musically, we should do it this way. Do you feel like you said everything?
Absolutely. Absolutely. You remember, absolutely, because I said everything that I needed to say. But because I was going through it, I didn't understand. In fact, because I've went through all of the things in the song, now I don't understand how they must be. You know, when I tell the story, I probably tell the story from what hurt me the most or what made me happy the most. But somebody who listens, then Yena begins to assemble the story. Yeah, well, does that make sense?
No, it does make sense. And I think listening to it also, from a listener's perspective,
that's
it makes sense.
When I was then moved from the position of the storyteller to the listener, it then came full circle. And that's when I knew.
I think it is full circle. You speak about a guardian angel in a track. All right, it's my favorite song, by the way.
I think everybody's gonna love that song.
Yeah, I think it's a hit. I think it's definitely the hit. It's just a pity that you like New Day and you wrote it first. I think All Right is the one. I want to ask you, who's the guardian angel?
The guardian angel would have to be the love of my life. So it's the love of my life and my belonging. So my dad is my belonging, love of my life is my mom. And I wrote this song during a time when everybody was losing loved ones. If you remember during COVID-19, we'd wake up and people would be tweeting, I just lost my mom.
Yeah.
I just lost my dad. I'm planning a funeral. There's a particular friend of mine who lives in Joburg. Wabu yakubo ezongwaba. Everybody in the family, because everybody had died. And I remember on the day where I had to sit down and write the song, I had to comfort him because it was after Sekshoni Weguba, and he says, Bra, sing Vali Lekaya, and I have to go back to Joburg because that's where my life is. And I said, Ubazo Salagin, and it was like, it's no one.
Was that not triggering for you?
It was triggering because that's where the song came from. And I thought, I've obviously survived COVID-19 not because of my own doing. No, man. I did have COVID at one point.
How can this be?
But I didn't die from COVID because of my guardian angels. And so my biggest prayer was my parents, God, you know, religiously I'm Christian. So I said, Jesus, be my guardian angel forever. But more specifically, this song was dedicated to the love of my life and my place of belonging, to say, I need you guys to continuously be my guardian angels throughout.
It's interesting that you bring in the love of your life, so your mother.
Yes.
You also have another mother.
Yes.
Who recently listened to the EP and then she started crying.
How did you get that?
She started crying. Oh, I mean, you know, have my sources. And she started crying, but then she spoke about your growth.
Yes.
I think when you look back to who you were 8 years ago, to the person who wrote All Right 8 years later, the maturity, I think we can see the growth coming through there. How did that make you feel, hearing that from her?
It's amazing because you think that your parents pay attention to the development of your physical self, and maybe they might even pay attention to the emotional, but also the creative side. I was so impressed by her because she literally said to me, when I listened to Stranger's Love, it was so interesting. I wondered what you were going to do next, and what you've done with this EP has shown me a maturity in you being an artist. And to have my mother say that to me was like, oh, this girl is actually paying attention. You know what I mean? It felt like somebody seeing the art side of me, and it came from home, because charity begins at home.
Do you think she was wondering who the stranger you're singing about in Stranger Love is?
I think everybody's wondering.
I'm wondering. A little birdie told me there is a stranger in Gauteng, yes?
There's a stranger where, sir?
In Gauteng. I mean, you know, you sing about it. Egoli was Etegwini. I mean, you're from Etegwini. There's a stranger in Egoli. I'm not sure. It's Egoli. I don't know about the geographical location exactly.
Can I plead the fifth?
There could be. This is not the
There could be. There absolutely could be a stranger. There actually could be a stranger in Gauteng, in Joburg, Ekoli. But you know how it goes. You don't know, you know.
Do you think she suspects, like, that there's...
No, she definitely does. So another thing is that Uma doesn't have to suspect anything. Because now I will come to my mom and I'll say, Ma,
there's a stranger.
There's a stranger. There's a stranger in my house. There's a stranger in Joburg, yeah. So she definitely knew. It's just that I don't think she knows who the person is and what the person looks like, but she knows that there's definitely somebody in Joburg that means something to me.
The journey of how you were at a point where you felt like you were not ready to love or be loved. Do you feel like you progressed with this stranger?
Yes.
Is it moving? Are you going to introduce said stranger anytime soon?
Never that.
What do you mean?
Maybe not. We can't live like islands. We can't live in a place where we're not ready to love. Human beings were made to love. And this particular stranger has really brought me to a point, I don't know how long, this particular stranger, and I just want to clarify, this could mean something or it could mean nothing at all.
You don't have to be cryptic. I'm your friend.
Decipher the hieroglyphics, my friend.
Oh my gosh, no. That's not my job. I'm just a presenter. I hope to meet said stranger. Will I get to meet said stranger?
If you searched on the internet, you
Stranger is there.
might not see the said stranger. But also it depends which year you're looking, because remember, Stranger's Love was written in 2018, released in 2020.
So how many strangers are there?
There could be one, there could be two, there could be three, there could be four. It's a stranger's love, darling.
Okay, a quick exercise. Dedicate one song from the EP right now to current strangers.
If I could dedicate a song to the current stranger, it would be Mdano Muntu. That's where I am. You know, one of the things that this stranger has sort of made me Ngumzulu, and we often shy away from Umzulu bethu for a number of reasons, but also because to Umzulu sibjwayele. When you find somebody who appreciates the fact that Umzulu, you know, and they appreciate your language, and they're like, what does this mean in your culture? You know, uyabona ukuthi that person doesn't only see you for who you are now, but they're tapping into your heritage, they're tapping into your culture, and they're tapping into your identity. You can't help but sit up a bit straight and say, hi man, this stranger is paying attention, you know what I mean?
I'm going to marry you.
Not necessarily marry, child. I think you're pushing it. Let's move from talking to something.
Okay, so it's progressing.
It's progressing
and
steadily. Enough about the stranger.
I just want to find out you're happy with said stranger and you're okay possibly marrying.
What was that movie? Happiness is a
4-letter word?
You said it, not me. Happiness could be a myth for the weak and uneducated, but it also could be
you are diverting, but it's okay. It really is okay. Let's go back to the music. I want to find out, talk to me about your musical influences. Obviously, your mom sees a growth in you as an artist. I want to talk about who are your musical influences? When you look back to when you started writing music, I know John Legend is one. Who others?
Funny you should say that. When I completed my EP, I sent it to my childhood best friend. And he said to me, I'm so happy you've stopped sounding like John Legend.
Oh.
And I said...
Wait, you used to sound like John Legend?
Apparently.
Give an impression quick. It has to be really good for me to believe it.
I can't! What do you mean you're putting me on the spot? It's like you're saying to a doctor, what song do you want? Give me a song by John Legend.
All of me.
What would I do without your smart mouth? Draw me in and you kick me out. Got my head spin. You know, it doesn't Yes. I used to do that a lot. And even Joseph, because Joseph and I have been singing together for 13 years. If you were to be honest, he would say, I sounded like a very poor John Legend, right? So my childhood best friend says, I'm so glad that you stopped sounding like John Legend. And then he says to me, when I listen to other people, I begin to pick up that they sound like Harrison.
Oh, you influencer, Jomi.
And where I am.
I love it. So, do you see the growth?
I do.
Everyone is saying this to you, but do you see it?
I absolutely do. From my influences, I grew up listening to Babyface. I grew up listening to Tamia. I grew up listening to Brandy. I grew up listening to other music, Soul Child, Boyz II Men, John Legend, Beyonce.
You really are 27.
Coldplay.
Yeah.
I grew up listening to all of those people, and it's amazing how I listen to all of these people's music, but I've managed to find my voice. And I've managed to find my sound. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you, do you feel like you found your sound?
I have.
Do you feel like you are still yet on the journey? Do you think there's still more of you to discover?
Yes. I'll say yes to that, because as human beings we're continuously changing. I could change, and I could start getting inspiration from rock and roll, and I'd start rocking hard.
Evolution.
You know what I mean? Yeah. We're always evolving.
Yes.
I think also because as a radio personality, also as now on radio, when you listen to yourself, it's like, oh no, I was great for where I was, but I grew. And there's always room to grow. There's always room to grow. So I love the sound that I'm at right now, but definitely when I release an album, completely different sound. Could be the same, could be different. So we're just always growing in this house.
Well, I mean, we definitely want the album, but we're appreciating the EP right now. Thank you so much. I mean, are you going to make us wait like 5 years, like Rihanna? You can't. No.
Oh, Rihanna has made you guys wait for Beyonce makes you guys wait for 5 years.
No. How long has it been for Rihanna?
Oh, Rihanna,
longer.
15.
I highly thought she's going back to music anyway.
20 years, child.
20 years. 20 years. 20 years. Who is the EP for, friend?
Oh, what do you mean?
I mean, when you put it together and it was done. It was A Stranger's Love. In your head, in your heart, did you dedicate it to someone? I mean, it doesn't have to particularly be a stranger.
Yes.
Or who you belong to, or you're the love of your life.
The EP. The EP is 25% for me, 75% for the people.
Oh, the math teacher in you is coming out.
Well, 25% for me is just that these are my stories. They mean something to me.
Yeah.
75% says, I want to tell you my stories and I want you to find yourself in these stories. And how you interpret it is up to you. So when somebody says, oh, I really hate that, I'm like, great, I like the fact that you've interpreted it. When somebody says, oh, I really like that, that song really keeps me up, the song really does this to me, I'm just like, great, I really like the fact that you've done that. So 25% for me, 70% for you. Do what you want with it. Create content around it. Criticize it. Write about it. You know what I mean? Connect. Disconnect.
I like the fact that you say 75% for you. Like, take it. Like,
take it.
It's yours. I'm giving it to you. You tweeted, and this is how I'm going to end it. Now that the music is ready, the heart is empty. Do you feel like you put all of you and your heart? Did you think you emptied your heart? Did you really?
That is... You remember, even when I tweeted that, I was completely... Okay, not completely naked. I was naked. Like, the top part of me was naked.
Yes.
And I think I was wearing something underneath and I had a microphone right next to me.
And if you had the choice, were you going to be completely naked? No.
If anybody wants to see me naked, my DMs are closed.
Yeah, I forced nothing out of him. I'm going to ask, do you feel like you poured your heart in?
I have. The EP tells a beautiful story. I think if people must listen to the EP from start to finish, you will experience the pouring of the heart. You will experience the emotions that we go through as people that believe in love. And I think out of anything, one of the things that one of my closest friends said to me, Uzolazi Loving, she said, I feel like your EP is going to show us another side of love. And love is really intersectional and multifaceted.
Nuanced and complex.
And give me your hands, you get it. Injalo. Yeah. And for me, all I need from you is the patience for you to go on this journey with me. Like, I think the first thing that you must have is know that this is a love journey, and then after that say, I'm gonna take my patience pill and I'm gonna go through this love journey with Harrison.
I'm ready.
It's gonna get complicated at first.
Oh, yes.
And then you're gonna have a brand new day after it gets complicated. And then you'll feel some strange things happening. But I know this is so strange.
But it's familiar because
as it gets strange, it's gonna feel like, oh no, this is so familiar, I want to have it with me forever.
Oh, yes.
And then after that, it's gonna feel like, oh no, this is not a typical thing. And you'll go through all of the typical, this is typical, this is not the typical. And then as you're experiencing the typicalness, it'll feel like, no, this is actually all right. Everything's all right.
That's how I feel when I listen to your music. I think you're absolutely talented.
Thank you.
And I know I'm ready to walk on this journey with you and multiple more journeys. And I know everyone is ready to receive. We've been hounding you. So thank you so much for sharing sharing a piece of yourself with us.
Ngiyabonga nami ngafethu ngicela nidle le piece le nidle nge-fork knife nidle ngey'puni niyifake ogqokweni niyiqobe niyifake usawoti, like everything. It's for everyone. it's not only English, khona nesiZulu phakathi. So nje yidle ngendlela enthanda ukuyidla ngayo sekuyeyini manje.
Even us, Zulu, siyadla. What?
Niyadla, obhokweni.
Okay, I'm not going to say that. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Harris and Mncedisi. Stranger's Love, dropping 1st of February 2022. Get it now.